Hello, everybody. It looks like I am live. Excuse me, right now I'm live on Facebook and live on YouTube. So, super excited to be here. It is Friday night, so I'm doing a Friday night live. I thought I would just come on here and share just for a couple of minutes. Really, a couple of minutes. But I want to just come on and share, do a story time. Is that all right? Great. So I wanted to share a little bit about who I am and why I have such a passion for the things that I have a passion for. And so my name is Tammy Morrison. For those of you that don't know me, that are scrolling by, if you're on YouTube and you're just scrolling, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you are on Facebook, thank you, welcome. But my name is Tammy Morrison. I am an intuitive healer, a psychic medium. I am an intuitive channel. I am a whole lot of different things. I'm an author, published, 3 times published author. I am a transformational speaker, um, all of the things. And I have this lighting. Okay, I'm not going to be in here long. I'm not getting ready to play games with that. But I'm just super grateful to be here. And so one of the things that has motivated me to become and do all of these things that I am is I started realizing all of the things that my grandmother imparted in me. And so my grandmother, she was a pastor, preacher, teacher, evangelist, prophetess type. And so she actually imparted so much into me as far as abilities and gifts. She actually really helped me to hone some of the gifts that I have. And I don't think I even realized, and I don't think she realized either, because that really wasn't a world that she was in, but she kind of was there. And so I am living this vision that she actually wrote. So I feel like she created this vision that I'm living, and I am actually doing an extension, and I'm creating this world so that we can break a lot of the curses and a lot of the things that have plagued our bloodlines for generations. And so for me being, I'm probably at least a 4th-generation healer, though that's what I know of. I don't know about the rest of them any farther back, but I'm sure probably so. I said, but what I can document is about 4 generations. And so I'm here. And what started happening to me was when I started to get divorced from my first husband, because I'm married now to my amazing soulmate. Y'all probably have seen my post about his birthday. It just happened. So I'm super excited about that. But when I started to get divorced, when divorce came to my house, to be honest with you, I was at a place where I was ready for it, and I was wanting it, and I was needing it because I was tired, because I had been in this relationship for 20 plus years. We ended up being married for 20 years, but we were together probably 3 or 4 years before that. So we were together for 20 years. And so I got to the place where I just had to, it was time for me to make some shifts and time for me to change, and I don't know if you know that many times women, usually about every decade, we have to make shifts. We transition. And if you look back on your life, you'll see it. You'll see how you transformed, in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s and your 50s and your 60s and your 70s and your 80s, wherever you are, you'll see the transformation that has happened in your life. And sometimes there are tiny, tiny transformations. Sometimes they're huge transformations. Okay. And so for me, what I realize is that a lot of my transformations come with my hair. Because many of you have seen me other times, you've seen different hairs. A lot of times I'll meet people and they'll say, I know you, and they'll know my face, but my hair will be different. I have a different type of hair, and that's okay. But the transformations that we make on the inside are the ones that I'm talking about. And so as I begin to navigate this whole journey of divorce, and at the time, my children were teenagers. I think they were, when we split up, they were about 15 and 17. So they had already lived their whole life, with us. And so, and for me, I knew that it was a time and it was going to be a situation to navigate with the children just because of, the history, the length of time that we had all, been together pretty much primarily. And so I started to really call out to God, source, to the universe, to spirit, because I didn't know any other way to go. Because by this time, my grandmother had already passed away, and she was actually my go-to. I'm going to say counselor. She was the person that I counseled with. So she was my person. She was the person that, I went to if anything was going on. I actually just spoke to a friend earlier, and I said, when my children, when they were young and they would have different things going on with their body, sickness or anything like that, my first call was my grandma, not the pediatrician. Call my grandma. You know why? Because she had 10 kids and she came from I think it was about 15 of them. So, and she was like I think she was number 2 or 3 out of all of those children. And so, when you're an older child, you take a lot of responsibility, to help the mama. Because when you have that many kids, I don't know any other way to do it. And so I would call my grandma and say, hey, this child is doing this, da 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 da. What do I need to do? And so she would, tell me, get her some, like my daughter. I remember she had a fever one time and it was like 105 fever. And so called my grandmother and I said, the child has this fever, da 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 da. I've done everything I know, give her, So my grandma said, give her. She said, she asked me about all the different symptoms and she didn't have any other symptom except for this fever. And so my grandma said that sometimes children run fevers and it doesn't mean anything. It means that their body may be burning something up, before it can manifest. And so my grandma told me to give her some garlic. And so that's what I did. Gave her, my child, my 5-year-old, she's about 5, some garlic. Let her chew the capsules. They were disgusting, of course, but let her chew the capsules. And then I squeezed the capsules out and gave her a little enema. And so within less than, I was going to say 4 or 5, 6 hours, I can remember because that's been almost 30 years ago. But the fever went away. Didn't have any more problems. She didn't have any other issues. No more problems. And so that was my go-to. My go-to was always, let me call grandma, and then if she told me to call the doctor or take them in or something, then I would. But typically that was my first call, was my grandma. Hey, what do I need to do about this child? Blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I really didn't have anybody to consult with at the time, because I couldn't, I didn't have that type of relationship with my mother at the time. And I just didn't have anybody. And I was a person that had been through so much in my life that I just really didn't trust people. I just didn't trust them, because people were so, well, they just people and they just, yeah. So I didn't trust them. And so I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. And so I started really, 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 really diving deep into prayer. And, and I always had meditated, like from years ago. My grandma actually taught me how to do that. And so I always had meditated. And so I was doing that and I was doing everything that I knew. I actually went to counseling, went to see a beautiful Christian counselor, and she was amazing. And she wasn't just a Christian counselor. She was a counselor who loved God, which was what I needed. And so she helped me a whole lot. I think I had a couple of sessions with her and it was so good because honestly, so many times when we are dealing with relationship issues, we are not honest with ourselves. That's the first thing. We are not honest with ourselves. And so we're not honest with anybody else either. And so that to me is like the first hurdle that we have to get over, is being honest with ourselves. Because once you get honest with yourself, then you can kind of start to be honest with other people. And so that was the first hurdle. And so I started getting through that. And she actually helped me a whole lot with some different journaling prompts and stuff that I did in order to help myself to actually see what I was dealing with, see who I was, and begin to see where I wanted to go and what the direction was. Because y'all, the backstory is I got married at 19 years old. I was 19 years old. I got married. Yeah, somebody's wife at 19. And then at 21, I was somebody's mother. And then at 22, I was somebody else's mother. And a few years down the road, I was somebody else's mother. So I was, all these people, but I didn't know who I was, especially once it started falling apart, because we had been, we were so young, we got married, and of course, that men typically are younger in the mind than women are. So we were both 19, but he was probably more 17 and I was more 21. But anyway, we did, I felt like I did my best to help this relationship to continue and persist. Um, at the time, I feel like he was more interested in getting all the pussy he could get, not from me. And so, that was a problem, especially in this time of disease. And so, and none of that stuff seemed to stop him. Although there were periods of time where, we we um, we split up. A couple times, split up. I went someplace. I left him for a year, the longest. Left him. Just took my kids, left him. I said, "This is what you're gonna do." Well, I'm not gonna deal with it. And I didn't. And so, but then after that, I felt like God told me to go back. He called me and he was so apologetic and he loved me, loved the kids, loved what we had, blah, 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 all the lies. And so, you know, it was just one of those things where I kept on. And so I was going to church. We were going to church. And so, the church told us to try to, keep it together. We went for counseling with our pastors, and that was not, it just really didn't go anywhere. Because one thing you have to do when you have counseling is you have to talk. That's where it counts, when you are being truthful with yourself, so that you can be truthful with your partner, and so that was a thing because my ex-husband was not the most truthful many times. Um, so anyway, so as we went through these processes and stuff, trying to get things together, we was at church and I really did not want to be out of alignment with God. That was really my thing. I did not want to be out of alignment with God, because they told us in church that God hates divorce and all this other kind of stuff. And then plus, I knew that I was a child of divorce early and I didn't really want my children to go through that. So that was it was one of the reasons why I hung in there as long as I did. Because honestly, I feel like when I think back on it, I should have left him when my oldest was born, but now and I think about that, it's like, yeah, but then my baby wouldn't be here, because he came the next year. and And so, when you sit down and you start unpacking all this stuff, that's kind of, what you feel like, oh my God, I should have left him when I first found out that he was just not going to stop cheating. That was one of those things. It's like, being intuitive and not even realizing how intuitive I am. I actually saw down the road. I actually saw, what's going on, what happened later, and so I felt like, I should have done that, but I didn't do it. I was the commercial said, you got to be quicker. Yeah, I wasn't quick. so, so I got caught up, we had another, baby number two. So, and you got to realize too, the times, that we were in, because my oldest was born in 89. So that was still in the 80s, right on to the 90s. And my baby was born in 91. So, I started really just, unpacking this thing, and so when we got to the place where, we decided to call it quits, which, truth and honesty, he left me and I was good with it. Because the thing about it is, y'all, I had been praying for a year for a change, and I didn't know what the change was going to look like. And that's something I want to share too, just because I know that there are people watching me and they say, I was praying for change, but I didn't know what the change was going to look like. And that was me. I was praying for change. All I could say is, God, I don't know what we going to do here, but I'm not happy. I don't love this man. I don't think he loves me. I think we need to just be done with it. But like I said, I was going to church and I didn't want to be out of alignment with God. I didn't want to be going against God's will because, that's one of the things that they just kind of hammer into you. So I started, really, really honing down on, my prayers, and so I did that and he left me. And I was like, "Phew, thank you, God," on the one hand. On the other hand, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Because I still had these children that were teenagers, and I don't know how your children eat, but my children used to eat me out of house and home. Like I would think I had stuff, and when I went to look for it, it was gone. Food, because I would buy food and they would cook. My children, I taught them to cook. Everybody could cook because I want them to know how to do all that stuff because, you never know what could happen. And so, um, so it was crazy, right? It was just crazy. So I started really, just going through these things in my mind to try to get myself together and figure out what was my next steps and what was my next move. Because by this time I was probably right around 40. And, my kids were, like I said, were almost grown up and they were all, deciding to go do different things and all that stuff, and my children actually left home at 17 and 19, gone. so, so I didn't, so all of a sudden I had an empty nest. I was divorced. Children were all grown. They were all gone. And I honestly didn't really know what to do with myself, and I didn't know the direction I was going in. And I also was trying to decide I was wanting to go back to school. And so I started thinking about that because I had been going to school over the years, off and on for years. I've been going to school. Okay. So I have gone to many, many schools because I believe in the value of education and I love to learn. And so I started doing that and just really going all out, trying to figure out the direction for me, for my life as I was going forward. Because, now I had changed whole systems because, at one time I was somebody's wife. Now I'm not anybody's wife. Then I was somebody's mother. Now I'm still their mother, but they're gone, they're doing their thing. It's like, it's not a day-to-day thing. So like I don't have to, check on them every day and make sure that, they go to school and make sure that homework is done and, run people all around the world and, all these things that we do as parents. So it was almost like, okay, there's a void and I don't even know what it is, how to fill it, if I want to fill it. And then the other thing is, at that point, I was burned out of my career. I had been a nurse for probably 20 years by then because I've been one for 30 now. And so I had burned out of my career. I was so exhausted and so tired of going to work as a nurse. I was so tired of dealing with people's issues and their shit. I was so tired of all of the what was I going to say? All of the games and how they really just as the years have gone, it's like the humanity has left the profession really. You have some people that care, and I'm a caring person, and I'm an empath, so I care and I feel, and so it bothered me when they went to the profit over people model because that really is what they've done. I know in America they've gone to the profit over people model 9 times out of 10. I mean, there are some good companies out there. I have not come across many, but I'm sure that there are some good companies because it can't just be all bad. But for the most part, these companies that run healthcare facilities, hospitals, nursing homes, whatever, all of them. They're all the same. They want profit over people. They don't care anything about the patients, the clients, the residents, whatever the hell you call them, the customers. They're called different things in different places, But my thing is, if I have to take care of them, they're patients. So that being said, they don't care nothing about them. They don't care nothing about them. They are a dollar to them. I have worked in administration. I have worked on the floors. I have worked in the office. I have worked all around this profession. And so I've seen a lot of things. And so I was burned out. I was tired. I could not, the thought of going in these places, even though I continued to go, I continued to go. And so that's the space that, I got to, and then I thought, okay, well, actually, got a word from the Lord one night. I was working night shift. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll never forget it. And I got this word from the Lord that it was time for me to leave this place. Time for me to leave this place. And so when I got that word, I was like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And so I talked to one of my girlfriends at work and she said, oh, you're good. We're good. We're going to be getting off in a couple of hours. And I was like, yeah, but I don't think that was what the word meant. Because they all knew that I was intuitive and spiritual and all that stuff at my job. And they know that God spoke to me. So nobody was surprised about that part of it. But it's like, okay, And so I took it and I realized that it was time for me to leave that, not only that geographical place, but that mental place, that emotional place, that spiritual place, all of those things. It was time for me to leave. And so I did. So what I did was I looked around to see if I could find a travel nursing assignment, and I found one in Omaha, Nebraska, and it was just too cold for me. I never even went. I looked at the Weather Channel and I seen that it said -8, but it felt like -15. And that quickly changed my mind because I was in my 40s and I have never felt -degree weather. And so that was not something that I could sustain, because I am a tropical person. I like I don't like it super, super hot, but I don't like it ever really fucking cold, ever. And I don't care for snow to be in it, not to be driving. And I'll go someplace if I can stay in the house and just look at it or go out and play in it, but I don't want to drive in it. I don't want to have to shovel it. I don't care for any of that. So, my cousin asked me if I wanted to come and stay with her. She was in Arizona. Hadn't seen her in probably about a couple of decades, but we grew up together and we were close growing up. And so I said, yeah, I'll come and stay. I said, yeah. So I did. My intention was to stay with her about 3 months, get some cash together and get me a place. Well, didn't quite work out like that. I ended up staying with her for about 6 months. Matter of fact, I think it was 6 months to the day that I left. And it was okay. It was a lot of learning, a lot of actually started on this path when I was there because I found a mentor that helped me with to learn about energy and healing and bot flower remedies, and that was so amazing, and I was so super excited about that. And then I found Reiki, and I started studying that, and really diving deep into that and really being called into, metaphysical things and, called into really how to connect with God, with source, deeper than I ever knew how to, and these things just started happening organically. Now I started taking classes because, it's what we do. We take classes and courses and all this. So I started doing all of that. But, I knew that I had to make a change and that I needed to do a different path. I knew that. It was like something came over me that told me. And I know now that it was just the Holy Spirit sharing with me that it's time to make a shift. It's time to do some different things. And so what happened for me is I still kept working and I kept pushing, and I was working. I met my now husband. And when I met him, I was working 3 jobs. I was working 3 jobs. I was hustling, y'all. I was hustling. But hustling is what I knew. That's what I know. You know, to me, it's like somebody that used to be on drugs, like you did drugs in your past, and you got healed from it, you got delivered, whatever. But then when things start getting crazy and rocky, sometimes that's what people go back to. And they might not mean to go back to it, and you don't always mean to, but it's what you know. It's what you know. And so this journey that I'm on now is like, I used to work 2 and 3 and 4 jobs, and I did that because I felt like, number one, I felt like I needed it. Number two, it was a coping mechanism for me, because when things were crazy in my house, which it was never like any type of physical abuse, because that was not something that I would tolerate. And my ex knew I would kill him if he did anything like that. So he never, really. And so, but it wasn't that. It was just the mental, and the emotional abuse and stuff, and the sexual abuse that I had to deal with. And so, when you're in the middle of all of that, and you're trying to make these shifts, and you're like, okay, this is what I did, work, 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 work. That was almost my answer, okay, because number one, I like a certain lifestyle. I'm not even gonna lie about that. I'm spoiled as hell. I have spoiled myself for years. My husband spoils me now. I'm just spoiled, and I have been, and I'm okay with that. Hold on, I gotta plug up the computer. Alrighty, so yeah, so once I started really moving in these spaces and really started, doubling down on, really connecting with spirit, and really um asking for guidance and direction on my path, because a lot of us, we just do and do and do and do and do, or we're in that hustle groove, and we're hustling, hustling, hustling. And then we even listen to them songs. Every day I'm hustling, hustling, hustling. Yeah, no. That will burn your ass out after a while, especially if you are not taking into consideration how you're built, how you are designed, because we're not all designed to hustle. And what I learned over this time in this journey is that I wasn't built to work as hard as I've worked. I'm not built to work that way. And so what started happening to me, y'all, is my body started breaking down. I mean, I started getting sick like every month. It was something, like I healed this, and then something else comes, and something else, until long COVID hit me. And that's just been a continual process for this last year, because that hit me about September of last year. And so that's been a continual process for me this year. That thing hit me so hard. And, part of me knows that a lot of it is energetic, because for me, I told y'all how I used to work, and I've been so hard-headed, and spirit usually have to slap my ass in order for me to listen. That was my pattern. And so now it's like, okay, I'm listening, I'm hearing, and then I'm also focusing on, who I am, really diving deep into not only who I am, but my design. What am I designed to do? Why was I put here? That is a part of the journey, is finding out, why were you put here? For me, I know I'm not a worker bee. I wasn't put here to work like that. I'm not. But it's taken me all this time to realize that. And that's the part. It's taken me all this time to realize that, that I was not put here to work like a mule, even though that is how we were conditioned. Our schools taught us that, all they could think about is, oh, Well, go and work and, get this degree so you can work and work and work. And then, you know what? Work 5 days a week. Hell, work weekends too. Don't just do that. I used to tell people I added another day to the week. I used to work 8 days a week. And I can remember times when, oh boy, that I worked 30 days in a row. 30 days. That's what I said. 30 days. 30 days in a row. And I did double 16-hour shifts every single day. Now, how I did that, I do not know, because I did have children, but I don't know. I don't know how I would do it, because many of those days I didn't even see those children because they would go to school. They were in school. They would go to school and get off the school bus. And I think their dad would get them because he would get off of work about 4:30 or so, like that. So by the time, they got in, he would be coming right home. So, but I did that, and I think about it now, I'm like, oh my God, and I know that God has been so good to me. I know that God has been so good to me, because for me to work like that and still be able to hold my youth, that's amazing, because I have seen people that have worked like that for years and years, and you can find no youth on them because they had worked it all to death. And that actually makes me that actually makes me happy. It makes me feel good, about myself, because it's like, when I think about it, and I don't know if I had this, I don't feel like it, but I don't know if I had this, almost like a death wish, and that is something, to me, it's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So when I started really diving deep and going on this journey and doing all the things that I'm doing, and really, having that connection to source, to God, to the universe, and really helping other people, to find their connection to their source, to God, to the universe, to the God of your own understanding, whatever God you decide that I'm never going to tell anybody that. However, I know that there's a special connection. There is a special connection to your soul that we can find. And so if I can help anybody to find that, and really learn how to connect to their body and really go deep into their body, because that is a process that I have been doing for myself. And it's been amazing, really going deep into your body and asking it questions. Because y'all know what? When you go deep in your body and start really asking it questions, it will answer you. It will answer you. And when you start really diving in and learning how to trust yourself, learning how to trust the messages that you receive from God, source, universe, the Holy Spirit, trust the messages, and really start understanding, that you're not just put here to, work 1,000 hours a week. You're not just put here to do that. We all have a mission in this planet. And I believe that some of the reason why is so much craziness going on out here in the world is because we do not know our mission. We don't have a clue what our mission is. And we just run around here missionless. It ain't even mission impossible. It's missionless. Running around here just missionless. Just fucking doing nothing as far as what you're called to do. And so that's a part of my journey, y'all. And I just really wanted to share, because I know that I have a lot of new people on my page on Facebook, and a lot of people that I haven't really connected with, which I want to rectify, because I really want to really begin to connect with people more. So if you're watching this and you would like to do that, also, if you would like to join my group, the Healing Circle, where I do all kinds of different healings, I do readings. I also offer angel intuitive readings with affirmations. If that is something that you're interested in, and what that is a reading, and it will include your affirmations based on your personal reading. So it's like a personal reading, and it'll include the affirmations that I'll create for you based on that reading. And I'll put it on record it so you can listen to it on loop whenever you get ready. So that is a service that I provide. It's called Angel Intuitive with Affirmations. I'm offering that. It is $111, but it's an amazing service because you're going to get not only a personal reading for you, and you're also going to get your affirmations recorded for you on loop so that you can listen to them all the time, because I know that a lot of times we need to hear things more than once. I'm that way. I'll listen to a YouTube video, and sometimes especially if it's really long, I'll listen to a little bit at a time, and then I might listen to it again, because maybe I missed some things, or maybe it's some things I thought I heard, and all kinds of things, different things, different reasons. So that is one of the services that I provide. I also have a healing hub, which is a membership that I'm taking founding members for as well. So if you'd like to check that out, let me know. And also, like I said, I have my group. The Healing Circle is one of them, and the other one is Spiritual, Not Religious. So if you are at the space where you have decided that religion has nothing for you, but you are still spiritual, you love God, Source, Universe, join us. Join us. So super excited about that. And my show, Straight Outta Savannah. Tomorrow, I have an amazing show that's going to premiere with my guest, Lady Cleopatra. She's going to come on, and she is fire, y'all. She's a young, beautiful lady that's on fire, and I'm super excited to be supporting her in this way. So join. The premiere is happening 4:00 Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time, and it's going to be on my YouTube channel. Make sure you go over there and find my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you watch some videos. Let's get this thing done, because I have over 1,000 videos, about 1,000 videos on that channel. So there's something for everyone, and there's meditations, there's healings, there's all kind of things. Like, I have so many things over there that I think I probably should have charged for, but I didn't. So it's there. So you have plenty of resources on my channel, because I've been on there for a couple of years. So that's something that you're looking for. I truly appreciate it. Again, if you are interested in an angel intuitive with affirmations, make sure that you send me a DM or you comment below and say you're interested. If you're interested in the Healing Hub, come do the same thing. DM me or comment below. And if you are wanting to join either of my groups, go join them. The Healing Circle and Spiritual, Not Religious. I will actually drop the links on Facebook of those groups as well. So I'm going to get popping off here, but I appreciate everyone for being here and listening to me, and for your time. And I hope that helped you to understand just a little bit more about me. I'm going to be sharing a few more story times just to give you an idea of who I am and where I came from. Because a lot of times, we see people all the time, and I know for me, I'm on TikTok, I'm on YouTube, I'm here on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, some, not a lot. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Alignable. I am all over social media, and so you see people, on social media and stuff like that. And, they're talking about different things or whatever, but you don't actually really know them and understand, who they are. And sometimes you don't get a chance to really understand them, because a lot of times, you see people and you see their passion, but you don't know where it's come from. And so for me, my passion in this area has come from really being able to help people, to hold space for many people. Many of my clients, it's been such a journey being able to hold space for them so that they can complete their healing, and then also being able to help them connect to their source, their spiritual team. That is really what brings me joy and lights me up. Really seeing the aha moments on the people's faces, and really being able to help them to connect, and help them to really get clear and to really learn how to trust their own intuition. So again, I'm doing Embracing Our Spiritual Gifts workshops every Monday this month at 3 p.m. Pacific time. And it's embracing our spiritual gifts. This next one is going to be on clairaudience. I just did clairsentience. This one will be on clairaudience. The next one, it'll be claircognizance or clairvoyance. So, so that's what we're doing. But it's on Eventbrite. I will drop the link on Facebook and YouTube too. I'll drop it on YouTube. I think you can do clickable stuff there. But I'll drop the link for those so that you can come and join us on Monday, because we'll be there doing embracing our spiritual gifts. So I am super, super excited and super grateful, for you guys just showing up, and also just be on the lookout because more workshops are in the works, because I really enjoy doing them. And I think it's a way to help people and to give back. And so I'm going to be doing more of those. So just be looking out. I'll be putting it in the events tab on Facebook, but it also will be on Eventbrite because a lot of people that I know are not on Facebook. A lot of people have left Facebook, and then a lot of people never were, or just don't do it much. They do Facebook like I do Instagram. I'm not on there often. Usually if you see something on Instagram, it's because it posted from some other platform. But yeah, so definitely if you check on Eventbrite, you'll see the Embracing Our Spiritual Gifts workshop, and you'll also see the other workshops that are being created as we go forward in the rest of this year. So again, I appreciate y'all, and I thank you for hanging out and joining me. And I hope that, the rest of your day is freaking amazing and magical, or whenever you're watching this, because I know that, these things live forever. So whenever you're catching this, I hope that day is magical for you. And I hope that you begin to learn how to open up the magic that is inside of your heart, because that is my prayer for you. And that is my passion, to help you connect with the magic that's in your heart. So thank you so much for hanging out with me and joining me. Whoever was watching, y'all, I appreciate y'all. I did not see any comments, and I'm on the phone for Facebook, but I didn't see any comments. But thank you for joining and watching. I appreciate it. I hope that you got a lot out of it and that you learned a little bit about me. So, thank you so much. Good night.